There's a moment in life when everything falls apart. And not in a poetic, this will make sense someday kind of way. I mean, really falls apart. The job, the relationship, the plan you thought would carry you through. Gone. And you're left standing there wondering how you went from, I've got this, to, what the hell just happened? Now, most people don't respond to that moment by grabbing a bucket of golf balls, walking into a thunderstorm, and daring lightning to take them out. But then again, most people don't rebuild their lives with humor, gratitude, and something called motivational firewood. Because here's the truth. Sometimes life doesn't give you a clean restart. Sometimes it hands you a pile of broken pieces and says, all right, what are you going to build now? Tonight, we talk about what it means to rebuild, with vision, with laughter, and with just enough stubbornness to believe your life can still become something better.
Welcome to Spirit Talk Show, Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups. I'm Doyle, and tonight's guest is someone who doesn't just talk about comebacks. He lived one. Steve Gamlin, also known as the motivational firewood guy and the vision board guy, helps frustrated entrepreneurs move beyond the hustle and grind and start building a life that actually feels aligned with who they are. But here's the part that matters most. Steve didn't arrive at this work from theory. He arrived there after blowing up his own life, his radio career, his first marriage, and his financial stability by his mid-30s, and finding himself at a place where everything had to change. And instead of staying there, he rebuilt, not perfectly, not all at once, through visualization, through gratitude, through humor, and through a willingness to ask better questions about what he really wanted his life to become. Since then, Steve has become a motivational speaker, stand-up comedian, author, and creator of the Vision Board Mastery Method, helping people not just dream about a better life, but actually see it, understand it, and take action toward it. And more recently, his journey has taken on a deeper layer. After the loss of his wife, Tina, Steve had begun sharing something even more personal. What it means to navigate grief while still choosing to live with purpose, connection, and heart. Tonight we talk about vision, about rebuilding, about laughter in the middle of hard things, and about what it takes to create a life you don't need to escape from.
Hey there, Doyle.
Hello, Steve. Oh, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. Okay.
Oh my gosh, thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. I love doing these.
Oh yeah, well, we have some great people, and we like to get great people like you to come on. Let me tell you, have you ever been told you're a comedian? I'm sure you've been told in your career you look a little bit like that comedian from Night Court, John Larroquette. Have you been told that?
Oh my God, I've never gotten the John Larroquette. I actually did 7 years of stand-up though.
There's one picture of you on your website, and it's a side picture, and it's the John Larroquette picture. So when I first...
Oh my gosh, I used to love that show. And Larroquette, there's a reason he won so many Emmys for that show. He was brilliant.
Well, yeah, I love that show. I don't know if I saw the whole, and I'm not sure if I saw the whole run, but I did see it. But hey, thank you so much for coming. I'm excited for this one. I love speaking to comedians because they usually got a good sense of humor. Goes with the job, you would say. By the way, I'm here with Howie.
Yeah.
Howie's here to my left. He's not pretty enough to be on camera, but
that's all right. Hey there, Howie.
Hey, how you doing?
Howie's got a good laugh. Whenever I was doing stand-up, I'd always listen for a good laugh, and I would just play right to that one person.
All right.
Oh, good.
And if I could get them to laugh, I had this one woman one night, she went, and she snorted, and I went, oh, game on.
Wow, that's great.
I aimed everything at her the rest of my set, and I gave her a huge hug after and told her how grateful I was for her. So,
well, that's great. I have my laugh, I laugh, but if I get really into laughing, it becomes a kind of thing. So so if I really get laughing. I
used to go where I wouldn't make any noise, and then I would start wheezing. So I used to call it my asthmatic baby harp seal laugh.
Well, The dastardly dog.
The dastardly dog,
the
yeah.
dastardly dog. We actually saw a comedian recently in Reno, and we're interested in, and of course I asked him to come on the podcast. He's already signed up. And
nice.
When you do a gig like that, like, does it actually pay you, or is it like you get a part of the door, or is it like a set fee to do a gig like that?
I never really made much money doing stand-up. I was mostly open mics, occasionally a paid opener.
Okay.
In a pinch, if I wouldn't, I was actually just sharing this story with somebody today. There was a show I just went to go see, just to see my friends.
Yeah.
And the middle guy was traveling from another gig and he wasn't there yet. So the host comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, man, you got your stuff in the car?" I said, "Yeah." Mm-hmm. He goes, "Can you give me like 8 or 10 minutes just to buy some time till the middle guy shows up?" I'm like, "Sure." Okay. And I think he gave me like $50.
Wow.
Which
nice.
I'd have done it for free, well, like I did every other time. But
well, you have the voice, you have the look, and you have the aura about you of someone who's
thank you
want to listen to. And I know that I'm reading, because we do a lot of research about people here, and you have some pretty hard beginnings here. It all started from some hard stuff, and I think recently you had a pretty big loss too, but you still seem to be keeping very positive and keeping very directed. And where does that strength come from?
The past 16 months since losing my wife Tina, it goes back to a promise I made to her in January of 2023. At the time, she was very stressed out, overworked with her job. Great job she had, and she was just working too much. And she came up to me in the living room one day, and she gave me a huge, tight hug, put her head on my chest, and looked up with her gorgeous blue eyes and said, "Honey, can I ask you a favor?" And I said, "Sure, baby." And she said, "Can this be the year that you get famous again so I can quit my job and find something less stressful?" By get famous again, it was get paid to speak.
Yeah.
Again, because the pandemic wiped out everything for me. Tina was my fourth death in 6 years of people very close to me as well. So it's been the last 7 years have been very difficult. But every day I talk to her, and I remember that promise. I actually wrote it on my wall on the whiteboard above my desk in my office.
Yeah, wow.
Can this be the year you get famous again?
Well, hey, maybe we, as much as we can help you with that. So, and was this, I don't mean to pry too deep into something that's painful, was it something unexpected, or was it a long-term thing that you knew that she was sick, or was it something like, because I think the unexpected one is much harder when it's just a surprise.
Yeah, suddenly and unexpected, 24 hours after we arrived in London for a week-long vacation, literally died in my arms. I found her in a hotel room, but she still had a pulse. Ischemic heart disease. And so basically that one started off 3,000 miles from home, all alone, shattered and just physically shaking from the loss. And you can feel free to ask.
Yeah, okay. It's just
anything. Please do.
So this is
Please
like,
do.
You arrived, and so possibly it was affected by the flight or being up at altitude, or I don't know if that's a heart disease.
It could have been. She had also struggled for a little over 2 years with menopause, and it hit her very hard. She had not slept a full night in over 2 years.
Wow.
And it was really wreaking havoc on her physically. She was exhausted all the time. And she was struggling, but she put up a very brave, loving, beautiful face, because she never wanted me to worry. But over the last couple of years of her life, she would drop little hints. We'd be watching TV, and she would just turn to look at me and say, "You realize I'm going first, right?"
Yeah.
And, me being me, I'd look at her and say, "Well, why do you get to go first?" And that would be the only time she was serious. She just would say, "I wouldn't want to be here without you." To which I'd respond, "So I don't even get a choice." And she would just look at me and, a pretty little smile and go, "Nope." Very matter-of-factly, and turn right back to watching TV.
Wow.
Yeah, hindsight being 20/20, she was dropping hints and prepping, and
so you think
we
she
were
knew?
watching it. I think she had an idea there was something more serious wrong.
Wow.
But she was protecting me like she always did, and she didn't want me to worry or didn't want to be fussed over. And I think she was just so tired that it got harder to fight for her.
And I think I want to be positive about things, but she had, obviously, you guys had a wonderful marriage, and she had you her last few years, and you had her. And so there was something good and positive to be honored in that you guys had this sweet connection, and you had each other. And she died knowing that there was a strong man who loved her. And that was something, a gift that a lot of people don't get. So that was...
Oh, yeah. The best 6,386 days of our lives. And while I was still in England, I went online and said, how many days are between June 16th of 2007 and December 9th of 2024? And it was 6,386. Our story of how we fell in love literally got me invited to Oprah's radio network call-in shows 4 times.
Wow.
It's Hollywood worthy.
Well,
without the BS or the really good-looking guy playing my part.
Well, you know that. Well, you need to play your part. You are that good-looking guy. Well, come on, you can't tease us with a story and not give us a little bit of the story on a storytelling. Podcast.
I'll give you the whole story of what anything you like.
Okay, so this is a story about how you guys met, and okay, well, spill it.
Yeah, we actually went to high school together.
Wow.
Graduated in 1986. And we had a bunch of classes together. We were really close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a crush on her in high school, but never had the guts to ask her out because I had no game at all back then. No confidence. My self-talk was terrible. My self-esteem just struggling with everything. Like a lot of teenage guys have, when you're not the smartest or the best looking or athletic. And we graduated in June of 86 and just each went our own ways. And we did not have any further communication or anything. And I went off and I had my 10-year radio career. I had a first marriage that ended in divorce. Right about the time I left radio was early 2002. So I had 10 years in radio. And in a very short window of time, I managed to completely destroy my life by quitting radio without another full-time job, going through a divorce, realizing I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt at age 35 and crawling home to live with family. And a couple years after that, I became a speaker and a stand-up comedian. And I started to get very heavily into visualization as far as a personal development tool and strategy. And I kind of started to see some little wins, and I decided I only wanted to be in love one more time in my life, real, honest-to-God love. And I started to visualize what that would look like. And I built that relationship along with goals for 7 other areas of my life on vision boards. A couple standing at the railing of a ship at sunset, holding hands walking on a beach. A couple laughing and joking while they're making dinner together in their kitchen. And these were all the things that I wanted to experience because I'm a hopeless, helpless romantic at heart. And I love being that way. And in early June of 2007, I wrote down in my journal, I've done the work. I am ready to fall in love, whoever she may be. And about 10 days later, I got an email that I almost deleted as spam because my ADHD brain got squirrely and got distracted. And then I reopened the email and found it was from someone named Tina. And then I read it. It was Tina from high school, 21 years after the last time we'd communicated with each other.
Wow.
And she said, hey, you're still in New Hampshire. I live in Florida now. We should stay in touch. And I'm thinking at first, 21 years, you reach out. What are the odds we're actually going to stay in touch? So I emailed back. She emailed back with her phone number. A couple of days later, I dialed that phone number. First words I heard out of her mouth, first communication in 21 years. And she just went, it's about time you call. And I just started laughing. She had that same sarcastic, beautiful, cool voice. And so we started calling each other and texting each other, sending emails to each other and just kind of catching up a little bit. And she would, what she later referred to as putting on her little coy hat. Oh, who did you have a crush on in high school? And I mentioned some other girl's name and Tina went, she never gave you the time of day. And I'm just sitting there going, I know.
Yeah.
Well, 4 weeks after that first message, I was DJing a wedding, which was my only income at the time. I had a DJ business. And Tina sent me a text. Can I tell you something if you promise not to freak out? And I said, okay.
Please, yeah.
And she said, here's how I really felt about you back in high school. Here's how I felt the day I saw your name online. Here's how I felt the day you answered my email. Here's how I felt the day I heard your voice. And here's how I feel right now. 143. And I had to do a quick Google search. What does 143 mean? It means I love you.
I love you.
In text code.
Yes.
1 letter, 4 letters, 3 letters. And I texted her back, I love you too.
So she loved you in high school, she's saying?
She had a crush on me in high school and also never said a word.
Isn't it like, I've heard about things in my life and things like I was so insecure in high school, and I look at a picture of me in film school in the 90s and how bad I felt about myself. And I look back and I said, he was a cute kid and people liked him, but I had no idea. And wouldn't it be, if you could have known back then, it would have been beautiful, right? If you'd known.
Oh, no, it would have been an absolute train wreck because I was an emotional nightmare. I was, up until my mid-20s, emotionally, I was about 9.
Okay.
I'm 58 years old now. Emotionally, I think I can almost get my driver's license. So
okay. Well, yeah,
it's a little better now.
I'm like Howie's pretty close to your age, so yeah, he's about there too. Yeah. I'm a young buck, so
yeah.
No, I'm not that young.
And I just call it having childlike wonder about the world. It's not that I'm an idiot or I'm immature or anything, but I've got this amazing childlike wonder about the world. I get fascinated by things like sunrises, sunsets, a really cool flower, or a heart shape that just appears out of nowhere, or true love like I had with Tina. Now, here's the coolest dimension about us falling in love in the summer of 2007. Yeah. She had no social media footprint, and she would not send me a picture of herself. So I fell in love with her with a 21-year-old memory, with my eyes closed and my heart wide open. I mean, we're talking open, authentic, vulnerable, both of us. And it was another month after that. It was August 17th of that summer. She flew back to New Hampshire because her grandmother was having a surgery. And that's the first time I got to see her in 21 years. And I just melted when I saw her at the airport when I went to pick her up. And 6,386 total days. We got to be in love between the day she reached out and the day that she literally passed away in my arms. And a gentleman sent me one of the greatest messages I've ever seen on Facebook. He said, Steve, we've never met. We don't even know each other, but I follow your stuff, and I'm so sorry to hear about your Tina, because I always called her my Tina.
Yeah.
He said, I just want you to know how blessed you were, because what you both had for 6,386 days, I've never had for one. And I just wanted to let you know how special that was and how much it inspires me and how much my heart hurts for yours.
That's so great. And so many people, Steve, live life not having that for one day and not having the vision and the drive and the capacity to do what you did even after. Because I'm looking at your website, and your website, I think, says that you hit rock like bottom and then built everything up again. So I know I read about 2 simple words that a coach said to you that changed your life. What were they, and what did they and why did they hit so hard?
Yeah, that was, it's funny. People say, they go, Steve, you found Tina. Your life had love. You're like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And I always say the same thing. Hang on. There's a reason one of my keynote stage stories is called Some Days Your Phoenix Rides a Pogo Stick. Meaning out of the fire, back into the fire.
Yeah.
Out of the fire, grow some new tail feathers. They grow back pretty strong. You can fly higher. And that conversation with the coach actually happened in the early 2000s, right after I left radio and went through a divorce and was in all that debt and just fell apart and moved in to my dad's house. And my self-talk at the time, brutal. According to some of my journals, apparently I used to refer to myself as Hurricane Dumbass Category 5 for ruining my life, which is the strongest hurricane. And one hot and humid Friday afternoon in 2003, I was driving home, drove past this mini golf place, and it had a driving range. And I thought, well, I can go whack the crap out of a bucket of golf balls at the driving range. Just get out frustrations and self-loathing and self-hatred, because there was a lot of it. So I picked the tee box way, way, way at the farthest end of the property because I didn't want to dent anyone's car because I'm a horrible golfer. I can hit them far, just not straight. And I was underneath this row of these big steel-towered power lines, which is no problem until a thunderstorm breaks out, which happened about 15 minutes after I started. So here I am, barefoot in the wet grass, hitting golf balls in a thunderstorm under power lines. And here's how much my life stunk at the time. At one point, I just held the club up and swirled it around nice and slow and said, "Go ahead.
Bring it.
Dare you."
Yeah.
And nothing happened. So I hit my bucket and the buckets of two other golfers who had run from the storm and never came back. So I spent an hour hitting golf balls as hard as I could. And when I got to my car, the first couple little cracks of sunlight started to come through as the rain stopped. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. And I just started laughing, thinking, well, it's well played, God. Nice one. Good. Well, the next day I happened to be on a phone conversation with a brand new coach I just started working with. And he asked, "How was your week?" And as funny as I could make it, in about 3 minutes, I told him the story of that afternoon and all of it. And when he stopped laughing, which is something when you're a coach you should not do when your client's life stinks, he said, "I got 2 questions for you. Are you this open and honest about your life with everybody?" And I said, "Yeah, pretty much. Self-deprecating, but yeah, sure." And then he asked, "Have you ever thought of being a motivational speaker or a stand-up comedian? I think you'd be really good at both and you'd enjoy it." What he did not know is when I was 11 years old, I wanted to be a radio DJ, a stand-up comedian, an author of my own books, and a teacher of people, but not in a classroom. He didn't know that. But through the way I shared my pain with some humor in that story, he picked up on it and said, "Have you ever thought of doing this?" And I said, "Yeah, since I was a kid, but I have no idea how to do it." On his desk in the junk mail pile was a brochure for a local community college. And 2 weeks later, they had a class called Intro to Stand-Up Comedy. And he said, "Will you go?" I said, "Yeah." And then he asked, "Have you ever heard of Toastmasters?" I said, "Well, I've heard of it. They kind of teach you how to structure speeches and all that." He goes, yeah. You got the storytelling down. Just go sharpen your tools a little bit." So by the end of that year, I was a stand-up comedian and a keynote speaker, not getting paid well for either because I was terrible at the time. But I was on the journey because he heard something, saw my pain, and gave me a way to get through it and to fly back up out of the ashes again. And that led to everything that's happened over the past almost 23 years.
And you have things that I know people talk about, your vision boards. I want to ask you about that in a second. And also something called motivational firewood. Can you tell me about a motivational firewood?
Yeah, that's actually my trademarked brand. I own the trademark on that, and I have for over 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Early on in my speaking, somebody said, "Hey, the National Speakers Association has a chapter that meets down in the Boston area." And I'm just about an hour and a half north of Boston. So I said, "I'll go down there." So I went and I show up. Of course, all the members have these beautiful lanyards and these name badges and all of that. They're all real fancy. And somebody just points to a Sharpie and a "Hello, my name is" sticker. And they go, "Just write your name on one of those." Steve. And a gentleman who was at the front desk, his name is Don, and God love him, I'll never forget the gift that he gave me. He said, "Hey, Steve, it's great to have you here with us. What sets you apart as a speaker?" I said, "Well, I want to help people." He said, "Well, we all do. That's why we're speakers. What makes you different?" And I started to just give a couple of weird, odd answers that made no sense at all, but he wouldn't let me go. And finally, after a couple of minutes, I said, "Don, look," I said, "if somebody's paying to come hear me speak, it's because they've got a problem somewhere in their life. They've got a spark in their heart of something, but they have no idea what to do with it. So if I share a story, a tip, a tactic, a strategy, and the next day they wake up and they do something positive with it, and then they create a little more fire in their life," I said, "it's like I gave them a piece of motivational firewood." And he snapped his fingers. He goes, "That right there, young man, that is unique." And he said, "I wish you could have just seen the way your face lit up when you said that." And then he asked, "Do you have any idea how to trademark anything?" And I said, "Nope." He said, "Look it up. I suggest you trademark that phrase." He said, "That's going to be your gold right there." Yeah. And a couple of weeks later, I owned the trademark on motivational firewood, and I've held it ever since.
Yeah, I'm getting my intro to trademarking for my podcast right now because it's become quite successful. So I am working on that right now. By the time this by the time this episode comes out, I'll be well trademarked, so it's okay to talk about the fact that I'm just getting it now. But let's talk about like the vision boards. When I think of a vision board, right, I think of just cutting out pieces and pictures and sticking them on a board and hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I missing when I'm thinking about a vision board?
That's actually the thing I hear most often. The thing I hear second most is when people make a vision board and they do exactly what you just said. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with it. Anything I share is just what's worked for me.
Yeah.
So I never tell anybody, this is the only way. No, it's just the way that worked for me, and I created the most amazing version of my life. I get pictures sent to me all the time. Hey, Steve, I made a vision board. Mm-hmm. And then I see it. A Lamborghini, a yacht, a private jet, a mansion, a big honking gold watch, pallets of cash, and a supermodel boyfriend or girlfriend. And I say, that is a delightful letter to Santa Claus. Where are you in this? See, to me, it's not just stuff. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of those things. Mm-hmm. But to me, and it's funny, I was just listening to Atomic Habits by James Clear recently, and he said something in there that I've been saying on a parallel path for many years. It's not so much what you get, it's who you become. So the way that I teach vision boards and work with my coaching clients is with a pretty standard tool in personal development. It's called the Life Wheel, and it's got 8 spokes on it. It looks like a pizza, basically. And it's got 8 different areas of your life that I believe you need to set at least one goal in each, and just set a 1-year goal. If it's a longer-term thing, great. Think of how much progress you'd like to make in a year, because that's going to keep a lot of people from getting overwhelmed and scared. And it's your physical health, your emotional well-being, your closest relationships, the core values that guide all of your thoughts, words, and actions, your faith, if that's an important part of your life. What goals would you have inside of your faith? Your connection to people in the real world in real ways. And boy, didn't that take a beating a couple of years ago during the pandemic. And then your career and your money. All 8 of those things are working together 24/7, whether or not you're paying attention. So wouldn't it be a good idea? And what I've seen when I work with people, once they start to understand that it's not just what they get, but who they become, I see people light up when they start to understand that just by improving one area of their life, it actually ripples into all of the others. That, for me, is where the magic happens. And that's what I love most. I even wear a T-shirt that says, "Got vision," all the time. I got 5 of them because when I just had one, it would kind of need laundry.
Oh, that got milk thing.
That's what I love the most.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think a lot of people talk about having like more motivation, but what happens when someone like some people have like empty motivation? What's the difference between like what makes it something that's real and valuable and something you should pursue?
To me, when you can create an emotionally connected why, like the fuel in the tank, like you get that little spark in your heart to create something and you say, I want this. My first question is, okay, why? Mm-hmm. Tell me why you want that. And the first answer is not always the correct answer. It's just, how can I get Steve to shut up? I'll just tell him this. But I care as a coach. And I dig deeper because another friend back in around 2006, I had been speaking for about a year and a half. And he asked, why did you want to be a speaker? I said, to help people. He said, why? And all I did was flip the words. I said, because people need help. He goes, that's like answer 1B. You don't even get a second credit for that one. And he kept asking, why? Why did you want to be a speaker? And finally, right around the 17th why, and this is what I do with my clients as well, I help them to find an emotionally connected reason of why they really want something and what it truly means in their life. When he asked me for the 17th time, I said, well, when I was 24 years old, broken, depressed, living on my grandfather's couch, I had a friend named Danny. And Danny asked me why I never followed my dream of being on the radio from when I was a kid. And I was out of excuses, and I borrowed $4,000 from my grandfather and went to broadcast school down near Boston. Was gone the whole summer of 92, living at my mom's apartment in Boston. And I went to broadcast school. And when I get out, I got an internship, not even a paid gig, an internship at a rock station we grew up listening to. And I drove to Danny's house to share the news. And he asked, where you been? I said, broadcast school. Mm-hmm. No. Did you get a job? I said, got an internship. And, of course, I got the I told you so speech and the I'm proud of you speech. Yeah. And 3 weeks later, Danny died of cancer at age 23. I was 24. And the why from that is why I became a speaker. Mm-hmm. When someone else believes in you at a time when you don't, and they see some greatness in you, listen to them, because the person in your mirror is lying to you. Mm-hmm. So I trusted him to say, you should go and do radio like you really wanted to do and stop doubting yourself. And as soon as I did it, one day, I did it for 10 years. 15 years worth of hours, which is part of why I quit. I burned out. But when someone believes in you, so whenever I'm on stage or on a podcast or on camera or on a Zoom call, I want to believe in whoever I'm talking to so much that they can't help but walk away and believe in themselves a little bit more. That's my why. So I ask people their why to keep them engaged in their own goals.
That's great. I mean, I definitely feel that you are someone who's interested in me and talking to me and making this something that's valuable for both of us. I think about that person I saw in film school. I just like how we just converted some videos. He found some videos in my garage and he just converted them to digital. So I got to see films because I went to film school in '93 in Ireland, and I haven't seen these videos. And I remember how poorly I thought of myself then, how ugly I thought I was now. How I thought nobody cared, and I even watched some of the movies I did, and I was in like other people's movies, and they seemed to cast me because they wanted to make fun of me. It seemed like now I watch them, and I look back at that person now, and I think I wish I could tell you right now how smart you are, how motivated, how adventurous you are, how nice you are, how I wish I could have told them. So I think there's something about having a conversation with your future or past self. And say, it's okay. You aren't this dumb, ugly kid. you had so much. You had so much to offer, and so many people saw value in you. And people need it. And I know that when I speak to people, speak positivity to people, genuine positivity, not like, "Hey, you're awesome." Kind of like something. We used to do this thing at camp called put-ups. I worked at summer camp for years. Actually, one close to Boston, in Connecticut, and like put-ups is if you have a room full of kids and you make them say true, like, what I really appreciate about you, I love this thing that you do, like putting them up rather than putting them down. And the kids, at first, they'll roll their eyes. But then when you do it in 8th grade class, when you do it, roll their eyes and you keep on pushing it, it becomes the most precious thing of the year. And they want to do put-ups every day because they realize, wow, this is amazing. You can receive this gift from people that they tell you something they really appreciate about you. And we don't, kids don't do that. I would tell the students all the time in class, I'd say, you guys hate it when people say horrible things to you. And then a few minutes later, you're saying horrible things to someone else. So do you not see the connection here is somewhere? Is there no connection in your brain? And my classes were always a place of put-ups, and they loved it. So wow, when you quit the radio station, was that like you saying them out, or was there something that they said, hey, you got to go? Was this a you choice? I know you said you worked extra hours.
Yeah, it was 100% very, very selfish me choice.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell my first wife that I was quitting until after I did, which was not a good thing to do for our marriage. I had already been through 2 radio station sales. My first job that I got, the internship turned into a paid job at sub-poverty wages. Mm-hmm. That lasted 2 years. They sold the radio station to a big company, and we all got fired. Oh, then I drifted for a few months, and then I got hired as a rock morning show producer at New Hampshire's biggest rock radio station. Mm-hmm. I was there for 3 years. They got sold. We all got fired.
Oh, boy.
And then I latched on to a classic rock station up in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. I was there for 4 years. And then somebody said one day, oh, Steve, did you hear Scott, the owner, is going through a divorce? He might have to sell the station. And the mousetrap in my brain just snapped. And I said, I'm out of here.
We're getting fired, yeah.
I can't take another hit. And I just quit. I was working 6-7 days a week for most of that decade because I was DJing weddings on the weekends and corporate functions. So I was just fried. Absolutely fried. And I just fell apart, and everything else just screamed downhill and fell apart.
Wow. So, and then you at some point moved to comedies, stand-up comedy. How do you think humor has helped you survive the hardest times of your life?
It keeps me looking for something positive to talk about, kind of like the put-ups.
Yeah.
In a way, I was wired to find humor in the world around me. I never told jokes. And that's, sometimes people hear, oh, you used to be a stand-up comic. Tell me jokes. I said, I never told jokes. I was a storyteller just like I am now. Mm-hmm. Some of the subject matter was a bit different. But knowing that I had a show coming up that weekend, I'd be looking around just trying to create a new story, find something funny in the world that you can talk about and bounce off the wall in your own unique way. And I would have done stand-up a lot longer, but somebody actually came up to me after an event, after a show, and said, hey, Steve, love your stuff. Love that closing bit, which was a song parody to the song We Will Rock You by Queen, but it was called the Viagra song, which I will not sing here. And it was a friend of mine who said, question though, because I know you speak also. If the female CEO of a company that was interested in having you come in to speak was in this comedy club tonight and saw that routine, would she still hire you? And I thought, probably not, because people don't always understand it's a different person on a different stage at a different venue where, what's appropriate here is not appropriate there, and I know the difference. But somebody else may not know. I said, you know what? That's a great question. And no, she would not hire me. So I stopped. I just slammed the brakes. I stopped doing comedy, took the structure, the storytelling, and the style of researching and finding material and just switched it over to a different template. It's almost like doing a different Mad Libs. I'm doing a positivity Mad Libs instead of just going for laughs. Yeah. So that transition, and what I found out is if you can genuinely use clean humor in your motivational speaking, you get a really good reputation.
Because people, corporate people want to be safe about who they hire. They don't want someone who's too. So your comedy show was that raunchy that you think a female CEO would say nope? It wasn't necessarily raunchy, but that particular song parody was very direct about an adult subject matter. I wasn't a dirty comic, though, by any means, but it was adult-based because I was in my 30s at the time. And by the way, my brain likes to see humor all the... Like when you said you couldn't hit a ball straight, I really wanted to say, well, don't worry, Howie, you can't do anything straight. So about that. I didn't know. I didn't want to interrupt your great story, so... No worries. So I love it. Yeah. Well, me too. I love it. Wow. So you had me verklempt a little bit. I kind of lost my train of thought. But your Tina was with you for 6,000 days. And what did Tina bring into your life that changed the way you saw yourself? Oh, my gosh. And I still say this anytime I talk to people. Just like my friend Danny. Yeah. Just like Coach Dan after the Thunder and Lightning and the golf clubs. Tina believed in me when I didn't. And there were some really great times as far as me building my business and career. And there were some very horrific times when it all just fell apart and I completely lost momentum and self-belief. Mm-hmm. When the pandemic just comes along and in one day destroys all of your revenue and your income because all the events were gone. And I wasn't online yet. Wow. She picked up the pieces more often and more delicately and beautifully and lovingly than anyone else ever has in my life. And 12 hours before she died, we were down in the bar at the hotel in London. Now, I haven't had alcohol for almost 5 years at this point. And we were just down there just having the most in-depth, amazingly authentic, open
vulnerable and genuine conversation ever. And it was kind of a low point for me financially. This was early December of 24. And I said, babe, I feel really bad. And she said, why? I said, I wasn't able to help you out with the trip because I'm still trying to put everything back together. And she says, okay, this is the second time this week you've said that. We're a team. And your business is going to be great again. She goes, honey, you've got all the skills and the talent and you can do this. You just got to put it all back together again and believe in yourself. And then she got vulnerable with me and said, I just feel like I've been lucky. And then I got to pick her up a bit. I said, what do you mean? She goes, my job, our home, us, I just feel like I've been lucky. And I laughed a little bit. I said, do you have any idea that this is all your fault? And she looked at me and rolled her. She was an Olympic caliber eye roller. She rolled her eyes at me and says, what do you mean? Yeah. I said, baby, if a very brave soul had not sent an email on June 16th of 2007 to a guy she hadn't seen or spoken to in 21 years, and then admitted she actually loved him without even seeing him, babe, none of this would have happened if you hadn't done that. You wouldn't have gotten a job created for you in Vermont so that you could leave Florida and at least get back to New England to be closer to me. Mm-hmm. And at the end of 4 years there, when word kind of got around that you wanted to be together with me, somebody from corporate in the company she worked for had heard about her and offered her a work from home with a little bit of travel position so that we could live together. And her career and her reputation and her company just grew and grew and grew and allowed us to be together. I said, babe, none of this happens if you don't send that email. So please understand, I will be forever grateful. It was, Hollywood could not have scripted a better final conversation. The last 10 days of her life, actually, looking back, were a pretty incredible farewell tour.
You need to write this book, Steve. You need to write this book.
Oh, it's on my desk upstairs being written.
And I think it needs to be called The Last Days of Her Life because you gave her the last 6,000 wonderful days of her life. And, to try to, you just, I think if someone looks in a book like under It's Better to Have Loved Than Lost to Never Have Loved at All, it really seriously needs to be a picture of you and Tina right there. It seems like, I'm inspired. It's just the people, I would hope people get to experience this in their lives and see this kind of connection. And I think I did. Now I'm thinking did I? Because this sounds so profound. And have I really? And I'm not. Do you think that? Because I don't think there's not another Tina for me out there. I'm not looking for Tina. I'm probably looking for Tim. But is there another Tina out there for you?
I have no idea. But if there is, it's going to be when Tina delivers this person into my life in some way. And Tina is still very present here in our home and present in my life. And just over a week ago, it finally got warm enough that it was sitting on our 3-season porch for an hour. And we live in a small town. We're kind of in the woods. Yeah. And there was almost no noise in the woods behind our house. And I went inside to say goodnight to her, like I do every night. There's a candle lit. I have a keepsake urn. I hold it to my heart. I look at our pictures. And I say, good night, baby. I love you. I miss you. If you can, please come to me in a happy dream. And hey, are you going to send me some owls soon? Because that was her favorite noise. Less than 3 seconds later, I still have her keepsake urn to my heart. 2 owls start going at it out in the woods, hooting at each other. Less than 3 seconds after I said it.
That's so sweet.
And I went out and recorded the audio from one of them and sent it to my family. And I said, guess who?
I was a science and math person. I didn't believe in that kind of stuff, but the experiences I've had in the last 10 years, stuff like that has happened to me. And it's like there's something that we don't know about the world and the universe and people and love. And I think love is so, but let's talk about, I was looking at your nonprofit about kindness that you formed and how something small turned into something so big. So how did that start?
It all started back, I'd say in the mid to late 2000s. I used to, when I was on stage speaking at an event, if it was for an individual company, part of what I talk about is how many companies, as part of their vision, they want to be kind and give back. And so I would ask them, what is a local program that you would love to support if you don't already? And some people would yell out a couple of suggestions, and whichever one got the most votes, I would have my checkbook in my back pocket with 10% of my speaking fee already written on it. I would write in the name of the nonprofit. I would hand it to somebody in charge and say, do me a favor, when you deliver this check, take a picture of you with the person at the nonprofit and this check, and please send it to me so I can tell the world how kind you just were. And that was good for a while, but then I started to speak for conference audiences, and there wasn't really a good way to do that. So my family and I just decided, hey, we should just start doing more acts of kindness on our own and just compare notes and share stories and give each other ideas. And that turned into a unified mission, and somebody said, you need to give it a name. What's your goal in life? I said, oh, dude, to be a beach bum, because I just learned how to surf. And it's just a laid-back lifestyle. So it became Beach Bum Philanthropy in December of 2012. And just over 5 years ago, it actually became an official 501c3 nonprofit.
That's great.
And we do our best to educate the world. You know, we'll never be, and I just shared this with somebody today, you'll never see me posing with my arm around a homeless person, giving that person a sandwich, going, hey, look at me. Aren't I great?
You know, like Howie can attest to this. I don't really post on Facebook. I do things like this too. I don't post on Facebook. I really didn't understand the purpose of X, because Twitter, because why does it matter the 140 characters of what I did? It just matters what I do. When I go and do something, it matters. I don't post, a lot of people post these narratives of, look, like 3 apples on the windowsill. I'm going to bake pies for the show, a photograph of the pies. Here's me, and here's a selfie of them with the pie. It's all about this narrative to present to you a story of, look how great I am. And that feels disingenuous to me. I want to be I want to do the great thing without having to demonstrate to you, proving to you that I'm great. And that's what's important. And makes me think of, I'm always saying to the world, like people who have billions of dollars that could do so many things. I just say to the universe, and I'm saying it for you too, please try me. Give me $1 billion and see what I'll do. Give Steve $1 billion and like $10 billion. Just try me. Try us and see what we will do. Because imagine what these people who have $700 billion could do in the world if they took 90% of their income and still be obscenely wealthy for the rest of their lives. What they could do in the world. And it's just, and I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they don't, because they're not people like you, right? And I wish more people like you got to that level. I probably can't get to that level if they're like you, right? Wow. So we do this thing on this show where we research people, and we do a little research, and we look up some of the stuff talking you've done. We watch some of you, listen to your podcast, we read your stuff, and we create this tribute story to you, right? I don't know if you listen to any episodes, and that's uncomfortable for some people, but hey, too bad. Yeah. So if you if you give us
and I guarantee you, this part of the podcast is going to get what my family refers to as the MMC rating. When my mom hears it, she's going to send me a text and going to say, MMC rating achieved, made Mama cry.
Aww. Okay, well,
I'm 58 years old, and anytime somebody talks nicely about her kid, which she still calls me, she cries. So
that's great that my mom is gone, but your mom's still around, and she still obviously is very active in your life. So we're going to hear I have to use this phrase now because he actually has fans. I have to use the sultry voice of Howie. People email me, ask for the sultry voice of Howie is going to read your tribute story. And we actually have a tribute poem too, but we'll decide. And I wanted to ask you about your story. like you said you had a story to read, or was that the story you already told? Or did you have another story you wanted to tell? Because you said you'd come a story to read or tell. Was that
it was basically I was going to talk about the golf balls in the thunderstorm story, which led to everything I'm doing now, including that it was the key moment that led to me discovering Tina in my life just 4 years after that.
That's great. More people need to find their Tina. Okay, so here's a sultry voice right now reading your tribute story.
There's a version of a man who thinks he has it figured out. The job makes sense. The relationship makes sense. The path, even if it's not perfect, feels like it's heading somewhere. And then life interrupts. Not gently, not politely. It pulls the rug out from under everything. Steve Gamlin knows that moment. Not as a metaphor, as a lived experience. A career that unraveled, a marriage that ended, a life that, piece by piece, stopped looking anything like the one he had planned. And there he was, mid-30s, standing in the middle of it all, with no clear way forward. Some people rebuild slowly. Some people reflect quietly. Steve, he grabbed a bucket of golf balls, walked into a thunderstorm, and dared the universe to make the next move. It didn't strike him, but something else did. A realization that maybe the life he had been living wasn't the one he was meant to keep. So he started again. Not with certainty, not with a perfect plan, but with questions, real ones, the kind that don't let you hide. What do I actually want? Why does it matter? And what am I willing to do about it? From there, the rebuild began, piece by piece, not glamorous, not instant, but intentional. He learned to see his life differently, to visualize something better, not as fantasy, but as direction. To speak to himself differently, not as criticism, but as possibility. To laugh, even when things didn't make sense, especially then. And somewhere along the way, the life he was rebuilding became something more than survival. It became his. He found love again, real love. The kind that doesn't just fit into your life, but changes how you live it. And for a while, everything aligned. But life doesn't promise permanence. And when loss came again, this time deeper, this time quieter, Steve didn't face it as the same man. He faced it with everything he had learned, with gratitude that didn't deny the pain, with humor that didn't erase the truth, with a heart that had already proven it could rebuild. Because maybe that's the lesson. Not that life won't break you, but that you can become someone who knows how to build again. Not the same life, but a more honest one. Steve Gamlin doesn't teach people how to avoid the storm. He shows them how to stand in it and still choose to create something better.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that.
And I do apologize. I usually intend to share the screen and I forgot to do it, so I was scrambling to do it in the middle of the story there. So I hope I didn't.
Oh, no worries at all. That was absolutely stunningly beautiful. Thank you for that gift.
Great. Wow. I'm glad you liked it. We do have a poem, but we will get back to that in a second if we have time. I do have something. If you're up for it, I did write a little radio play with 3 parts that we could do. If you're up for doing something fun like that, we could.
Sure.
Yeah,
of course.
We do like to. Sorry, I'm being a little bit because the computer is behaving like differently, so that's why I'm getting a little off here. My computer is not doing what it usually does. Why is it doing that? Okay, wow. So yeah, I think that really captures from just speaking to you from these few moments we've been here together. That seems to capture your heart and your legacy and who you are, and this person that changed your life, but it taught you how to continue. Because I've got kids, and I can't imagine I've never lost anybody that close to me. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. I mean, I've lost my mom, but so wow. Okay, so, and you said the story that you had was the story about the golf balls and stuff. And so, did you want to?
Yeah.
Did you want to try this little radio play that we have here?
Oh, we sure can. Absolutely.
Okay,
Sure.
so it's called. I'm scrolling down. Oh, why did it? Okay.
The breakdown. There you go.
It's called The Breakdown, and there's 3 parts, right? Am I reading it incorrectly?
No, that was right.
Okay. The 3 parts are. Oh, it didn't tell me the first part. Mark Doyle. Who's the third one?
Mark, Steve, and Doyle.
Mark, Steve, and Doyle. So you can be whichever character you like. I know the one that logically you should be. So what?
Yeah, I'll take Steve, so at least I know how to deliver those lines.
So what this is, and I'm always a little hesitant in doing these because this is something that's inspired by your work, and the reason I'm hesitating is because it's going to put, I've written what you would say. So if you don't think you're like you would say that, of course you can change the line mid scene. But I mean, it wrote it. So let me share the screen here, and we can do this. It's called. I forget what the title. For some reason, I didn't copy the title correctly. But it's a story about Mark, Doyle. I guess I'm going to be Doyle, and you're going to be.
Sure, I'll be Mark. Yeah.
You'll be Mark. Okay. Sorry. Let me share here. So I need to go to the sharing screen again. It's not reacting the same it usually. It's not acting the way it usually reacts, and I don't know why. So, okay, you can see it there, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
cool.
So you're Mark.
All right.
Do the breakdown.
Okay. Sound, coffee shop ambience.
Why didn't you do the title?
Oh, scene 1, the breakdown. Sound, coffee shop ambience. A chair scrapes loudly. Okay, I need help. That's you.
Oh, that sounds serious.
It is serious. My life is, how do I say this professionally?
Dumpster fire?
Yes. But like the deluxe version.
What happened?
Lost my job. Girlfriend left. My bank account just sent me a sympathy card.
Oh, first of all, congrats.
What?
You're at the starting line.
This is the worst motivational speech I've ever heard. Okay.
Oh, I'm Steve. Sorry.
Oh.
No, he's Steve.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, seriously. This is where the good stuff starts, where the good stuff happens.
Nothing about this feels good.
Well, that's because you're staring at the wreckage, not the materials.
The materials?
He's about to see something weird. Just let it happen.
See, your life didn't fall apart. It just kind of got disassembled. Now you get to decide what you want to build with the pieces.
I didn't ask for a renovation.
Nobody does. That's why it's fun.
Why are there scissors?
We're making a vision board.
Absolutely not.
Too late. I got glue sticks. No glitter, though.
I am a grown man.
Good. Start acting like one with arts and crafts.
This is incredible.
I am not cutting out pictures of yachts and pretending it's my future.
Good, because that's not what this is all about.
Okay, then what is it?
Well, it's about figuring out what you actually want and why you want it, not what looks good or what impresses people. So, in the midst of this change in your life, what matters to you?
Scene 4, the resistance. Okay, all right, fine. What if I don't know what I want?
Perfect. Most people don't. And that's honest. So we're just going to start there.
That's not helpful.
Sure it is. See, most people skip that part and they do a vision board starter kit, ending up chasing someone else's dream life.
He's got a point.
I don't like that he has a point. Scene 5, breakthrough. Sort of.
All right. Cut something out. Anything.
Fine. Okay, I cut out a picture of a guy hiking.
Okay. Why do you want that?
I don't know. I guess he looks free.
There you go. That's the start right there.
That's it?
That's everything.
The firewood, scene 6, the firewood moment. So that's motivational firewood then?
All the stuff that he thinks is useless right now. The failures, the mistakes, the things he's embarrassed about, that's going to be the fuel that gets him going back up the mountain, hence the picture.
Wait, you're saying this mess I have right here is useful?
Yeah, it's exactly what you need to build something better.
Scene 7, the turn. Okay, I hate this, but I also kind of get it.
That's growth.
Don't call it that.
You can call it whatever you want, just don't waste it.
Final line. So you're telling me this might actually turn into something good?
Only if you do the work and actually build it.
And maybe that's the deal. Life happens. Life hands you pieces. But the story, that part is still yours. Okay. So how, as someone who owns the trademarked motivational firework, how do you think that captured your the work? Not at all, or was it somewhere?
Oh, a lot of that sounds very familiar. I have to talk a lot of people off the Lamborghini lot when they realize that I go a lot deeper with that.
Well, because what you mean by that is that people think the thing that's going to make them happy is the Lamborghini, when really it's not. It's something. Is that what you meant by that? Yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because sometimes when I ask, why do you want the Lamborghini, what it comes down to is they've never owned a vehicle that anyone else envied. They think that status comes from stuff like that, when really it's not what they're really about at all. So when we start to have the conversation of who do you want to become, they're just as happy driving a Chevy pickup as they would have been in a Lamborghini, just being for show.
Yeah, I know that when I was a director of resorts and stuff and camps, I didn't have an ego. I didn't have a need for control. It was about, I didn't need to appear like the person in charge. We just needed to get stuff done, and it needed to be a good place for everyone. And that was always very successful, right? It wasn't about status. I worked at a camp in New Jersey, and the counselors ate up on the stage. And I thought, that's so ridiculous. Like, you need the status of being above the kids. Where does that come from? You need to have the status of eating. So I was like, for the first time in this camp's history, I was one of the directors who would sit down and eat with the kids, because, and the other staff would look at me like, what are you doing? I was like, why are we sitting up on a stage before these kids? Like, what gives you this feeling of being better than them, of having to lord over them? We should be down with them and getting in the dirt with them and digging in the mud. In everything, and because that's going to be more effective than being the Lord on the stage, right?
Oh, 100%. I always tell people, what I talk about, visualization, manifestation, law of attraction. A lot of people go, "Oh no, that's very woo-woo. I can't understand that." And I said, "Well, that's good, because my style has been referred to as blue collar woo, meaning I generally wear jeans on stage.
Yeah,
I will teach you the tools, hand them right to you. We're going to roll up our sleeves, get down in the mud together. I'm going to show you how this works to take all the woo-woo right out." So blue collar woo is the approach. And I'm a regular everyday guy who just happens to have taken a few crashes and burns in his life and learned something that I now get to turn around and share with other people. And it's funny you mentioned that the counselors being up on a stage above everyone else.
yeah.
One of the things that I say to people when I'm up on a stage is, hey, look, I'm not talking down to you at all. The only reason you may get that perception is I'm 6'2" and I'm standing on a stage.
Yeah.
We're all on the same level. And I had a speaker one time, I forget where I met him. It was at some event. And he said, he was very puffed up on his ego. And he said, "I've gotten more than 500 standing ovations." And I said, "Well, I got one and I cheated to get it. You want to hear how?" Yeah. And he didn't say yes. He just walked away because he was an arrogant jerk. But somebody else said, "Okay, I got to hear this story." And I said, "Yeah, it happened here in New Hampshire. I was one of the last speakers added to this particular event. There are 250 people in the audience. And a dear friend of mine who's been friends now with me for over almost 25 years, I bet her $5 I would get a standing ovation that night. And she goes, these people don't know you. You're not even on the schedule. And I said, $5, standing ovation. She goes, okay. So right near the end, I was telling the story about some days your phoenix rides a pogo stick. And I said, when you fall back in the fire, your tail feathers burn off. But if you do the work and if you focus again on your next goal, you can rise up out of the fire. Your tail feathers grow back. You just got to fly higher every time. So I said, if you doll, do me a favor, please stand up. I said, I want you to look over your right shoulder. Mm-hmm. Now look over your left shoulder. Now look down at your butt. How your tail feathers doing? Are they the ones you were born with because maybe you weren't brave enough to try something and risk it all? Are they gone right now because you recently went through something? Are they growing back more beautifully colored and stronger than ever before so you can fly higher? Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. My name is Steve Gamlin.
And everybody's standing.
And they start clapping while they're already standing. Yeah. And so I scanned across the front row, and there's my friend right in the front row giving me the finger.
It reminds me of when I used to be a camp.
$5.
I used to always get the kids to clap at the end of my speaking at camp by doing this thing called making rain, where everybody has to rub their hands and then they have to tap. They have to tap stuff, and then it ends with them clapping, and then you say, and thank you, and walk off because they're all clapping. It's the same thing. So you made them clap.
It's all in the timing.
But they love it because they love that they were tricked, and then the clapping and the ovation probably became real, right? Because they enjoy that you kind of almost tricked them into that. And it wasn't conceited. You weren't doing it from conceit. You were doing it from humor and love. And I love, by the way, the jeans on the stage, because I'm the kind of person, I don't understand why we feel the need to wear these stuffy suits with ties and shirts when everybody should just be comfortable. I mean, at work, just be comfortable. You don't have to, like, who are you putting on like a show for? You seem, Steve, like a man who's so full of love, and you've had so much grief. So you've had so much grief and so much loss, more than anybody we can imagine could endure, right? So what have you learned? Have you learned about love from grief?
That it never ends. I still talk to Tina like she's here because she is. I still kiss the top of her. There's a picture frame on her nightstand. I kiss the top of it every morning, every night. I still slide my feet across to her side of the bed every morning, just like I did every morning we woke up next to each other. We would touch feet first thing in the morning. Whoever woke up first, their foot slid across, and we would just both go,
yeah.
And that was our first smile every day. So I still do all these things and love her just as much now as I ever did, if not more, because every day I just show up and do my best to honor that promise I made to her to get famous again. And to continue to share our story to inspire other people. And if she was still here and I came upstairs after this show, she would say, how was your podcast? Because she loved to ask, how'd you do at your speaking event? How was your podcast? And I would say, oh, it was awesome. And she would look at me and roll her eyes and go, you didn't tell our story again, did you? I go, yes, I did, baby, because it's a great story. And she would always ask, aren't you sick of telling that yet? And a lesson I learned years ago from a fellow speaker. I've never actually told the story, but I've relived it a couple hundred times. There's a difference. And so thank you for inviting me to relive some of my favorite stories on your show. I appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure. I love hearing about Tina, and we can see the love and her in your heart. And she obviously still is alive in your heart, and probably to lots of others, because you probably pour that out into other people when you speak. And I know when you speak to me, it feels like you're pouring love out, and I'm sure that comes from Tina and your experience with Tina, and that's really a blessing. It's so nice that you can give that blessing to people. So if you wanted to give one last parting thought, because I could speak to you for hours, but I do have another guest tonight. Another comedy guy, actually. And
nice.
What's the message that you can give to people who are listening? A lot of people who are listening, they don't know how to get out and find Tina. They don't know how to get out of their routine, and they think they're very down on themselves. What's the piece of advice, if you had 30-second piece of advice to give to I call them kids under 40 people, because my audience is, big part of my audience is 25 to 45.
Oh, nice. Perfect. A lot of people quote Shakespeare, Plato, Socrates. I quote rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
what I will share is from 1967 from the Beatles. And it's a quote that that a dear friend of mine had mentioned to me when I was going through some tough times. She said, "There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. All you need is love." It's the third verse from the Beatles song, "All You Need Is Love." So wherever you are right now, you're supposed to be there to go through some stuff, to receive some gifts, to pay attention to all your senses. What do your goals and what does your life look like, feel like, sound like, smell like, and taste like on any given day? Be aware. Stop staring at your shoes. Stop getting buried in a phone. Live your life and look around and feel what's going on around you and understand that you are a living, breathing, vibrating part of it all. So just remember, there's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love.
That's great, Steve. That's so many people need to know it, and I think this country is going to get back there. I think we were there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to get back there, and I believe it. I believe it. People need to be told they matter, and people need to come with love. So let me finish with reading your poem, because I want you to hear that too. So, and then we'll probably sign off and we can have some last thoughts here. But okay, the poem is called Firewood. Did you want to read it or me read it?
You can read it if you
Okay.
want. Yeah.
You don't start with fire. You don't start with pieces, broken plans, half-burned dreams, a life that didn't turn out the way you thought it would. Most people walk away, call it failure, call it done. But not you. You gather it. Every splinter, every misstep, every moment you wish you could undo. Not to carry it, to use it, because you learned something most people never do. The fire doesn't come from perfection. It comes from what you're willing to build with what's left. So you strike the match, not once, but again and again, through laughter, through loss, through love you didn't expect, and grief you didn't choose. And somehow it burns not everything away, but everything falls, leaving you with something real, something warm, something steady, something earned, because you are not what fell apart. You are what you built after. That's
You guys are two for two. I'm going to have to give my mom like a disclaimer. She's going to have to go down to the basement to get a whole other box of Kleenex by the time she listens to this episode.
That's great.
I will send the written text of those to you after we talk tonight. But this was a good one, Steve. I feel a knot in my heart when I speak to people like you, because it just inspires me that there's people who want to spread love and bring love every day. And I saw it on your website. I see it in you. I saw it on your picture there that looks like John. I was looking at the podcast pictures to see which one looks like John. It's the one where you're on stage and you look like you're pointing like this, like this on it looks.
Oh,
it's
yes.
Yeah, it's a profile.
Yep.
It's the approved pictures you have on Podmatch, right? I thought
it is. That's taken actually about a year ago. I flew almost 2,000 miles to work with a photographer that I've wanted to work with for years. And she captured my favorite photos ever taken of me in my life. And her name is Maddie May, and she's a phenomenal creative person.
Is that you with the sunglasses with your feet up on the table? Is that one of hers?
That's actually a shot that was one of my ideas. We're talking about Bum Philanthropy, and I said, I just want to be so laid back. And I flipped my shoes up and flipped my sunglasses down, and she goes, oh my God, I got to get that. So she took that shot.
I do. Those, they are fabulous pictures. And what's her name? So we can promote her on the...
Maddie, Madi, and her last name is May, May. And she is a phenomenal talent down in the Dallas area.
So I realized I was negligent in one case. We got to talk about how people can find out about you. You can go to SteveGamlinSpeaker.com, and you do corporate speaking. You have something on your website here. What does Steve do? Ultimate life vision, visual coaching, speaking at events, and humor coaching. So that's all.
Yeah.
And people can schedule a call for you there. So go to Steve's website, connect with him, and of course we'll put it on the description of this. But we were honored for you to be here. This was an awesome start to our day, and we're recording this on a day that our country is sometimes fearful of, tax day.
Oh, yes.
So, but I mean,
that'll be a future poem that I write.
Well, thank you so much. I'll let you have a brief glimpse of what Howie looks like. There's Howie.
Hey there, Howie.
Hey there.
I got to be careful with this camera because it's so touchy. Sometimes if I touch it, the whole program crashes. I don't know why.
Oh.
I don't know. It's because I am actually recording in a professional studio, but the camera doesn't seem to hold up to their standards. But thank you so much. Yeah. This was a true pleasure, and I will speak to you soon about the next steps. And I love this conversation. I think we need to continue it. And any parting thoughts?
Absolutely honored. There's one word I use, and I use it sparingly. This was completely effortless, and I mean that in the best way possible. So thank you both for inviting me to be a part of this. And I don't think I've ever had anybody do as much research or work in the two readings that you put together. Plus, we got to act out a play. I mean, come on, this was phenomenal. Thank you very much. You all just absolutely made my day.
Well, that's why we want to be different. We want to reach people in a different way, and use our skills. But I appreciate it, and I'll be in touch. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
After I have a conversation like this one, I always sit here for a second before I say goodbye. Not because I don't know what to say, because I feel the weight of what just happened in this room, and I want to honor it before we let it go. Steve Gamlin walked in here tonight carrying 6,386 days of the greatest love story I've ever had the privilege of sitting next to. He carried grief that would have buckled most of us. He carried a promise he made to a woman with gorgeous blue eyes who just wanted him to get famous again so she could quit her job. And he carried it all the way into this studio, laid it down on the table, and let us look at it. He didn't flinch. He didn't perform. He just showed up the way he shows up every morning, foot sliding across her side of the bed. That's not resilience. That's devotion. And there's a difference. If you took anything from tonight, I hope it's this. Your failures are not the end of the story. They are the firewood. Every broken plan, every half-burned dream, every moment you wish you could undo, none of it is wasted. You are not what fell apart. You are what you built after. Thank you, Steve, and thank you for being here, listening in the dark. I'm Doyle, I'm here with Howie, and this is Spirit Talk Show, Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups. Now go, make a story worth telling.